What is the best supplement for cognitive function? What if one molecule could supercharge your brain and rewire your ability to focus? Scientists have discovered a compound that can protect your brain, and it's 7 times stronger than anything else I've ever seen. I'm going to share with you one brain-boosting peptide that can change your cognitive performance. Are you using this? In this video, I'm going to show you how to enhance your cognitive performance, how to think clearly, and how to remember words that you read in the easiest way possible. What is Dihexa? Dr. Joseph Harding at Washington State University was looking for ways to enhance this molecule in the brain called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotropic factors. And what he was looking for is the agent that could solve the problem of cognitive decline. Because if you've ever felt like your brain just doesn't work, and no matter how hard you try or how much coffee you drink, you just can't seem to get mental clarity. You're stuck in a rat race and you just feel like you're in a hamster wheel and you're thinking about a lot of things, you got a lot of ideas, but you're not productive. Well, that's where BDNF is so powerful. And what Dr. Harding realized is he said, well, we want to make sure that we can find an agent that already exists in the brain. And one of the pathways that he looked at is a pathway called angiotensin. And many of you may know of angiotensin through all of the breakthroughs in nicotine, for example, because nicotine works on that angiotensin pathways. And some of the benefits of nicotine are that it does stimulate some more gastric secretion, so you get a little more acidity in the stomach, so you can break down proteins. It can help with bowel movements. It activates the sympathetic nervous system, but at the same time you get an increase in the parasympathetic nervous system. But not only that, it's neuroprotective, and some of the most prolific writers have been chain smokers. Now, I'm not advocating smoking and even nicotine. You need to talk to your doctor about that, but nicotine does have protective benefits. But what if there was something that you could utilize that didn't have the habit-forming risk that can come with something like nicotine, and that works on some of the similar pathways? And that's where Dihexa comes in. And what the research shows is that Dihexa, as they started looking at the expression of what's called BDNF, they found that participants in the studies who used Dihexa, and most of them were using roughly 30 milligrams, and Dihexa can be taken orally, it can be used as a nasal spray, it can be a subcutaneous injection. But the Dihexa, what they found is that they were able to remember things better, they had more neuroplasticity, there was better electrical conductivity in the brain, and the biggest thing is they found that it reset the dopamine response in the brain, so that people were able to disconnect from all of the technology, the screen time, and actually get back into their body. And so Dihexa is something that I've used for years, and when I use Dihexa, I use it on my focus days. And so many of you, you're probably an entrepreneur, or you're running a house, you've got 5 kids running around. Make sure that you're focused when you're listening to this, because that's the thing that Dihexa does, is it can be regenerative and it can rejuvenate your brain, because you're always pulled in 2 dimensions when it comes to brain health. You're either distracted or you're focused. Or you're distracted or you can concentrate. And in one of the medical texts that I read in my medical training in Hawaii, I read this book called The Neijing Su Wen, and it's the Yellow Emperor's Classic, and it was a medical text written 2,500 years ago, and it was a conversation between the Yellow Emperor and Chibo, his chief physician. And the Yellow Emperor said, what is it that makes physicians great? What is the essence of these physicians? What do they need to have more than anything? And the first thing he said is they need to have concentration and focus. And I know in your work how important that is. I know in my work, being present and being engaged and picking up on all those subtle clues that you give me with your body language, or with the labs that we're interpreting, and working with the team to put together a protocol for you. When I use Dihexa, I'm able to sit in the pocket longer. I'm able to be more present. And one of the reasons why is because it works on that angiotensin pathway, where you get a little better expression of BDNF. And so some of the things that you can do to amplify this is, on days that you're using Dihexa, use choline, because choline, what it does is it's a substrate and it's the raw material for acetylcholine, which lays down long-term memory. So if you're learning something new, then you can add in some eggs, which has a lot of choline, meat. So I'm a big fan of beef and elk and bison. Those things have an enormous amount of choline. So do some of the shellfish. If you don't have an allergy, be careful, but like shrimp and lobster, you're going to find a significant amount of choline in these foods. But the thing that you want to look at if you're looking to enhance your cognitive performance is, in many cases, it's getting rid of supplements. So a lot of times you bring them in and you're on all these different nootropics and you're taking every mushroom ever discovered, and it's an overload to your brain. So what you want to do is cycle these peptides. So you may use Dihexa and then C-Max. C-Max also works on the dopamine pathways. It's dopaminergic. It helps with focus. In one of the studies with this agent called C-Max, what they did is they took shift workers, and when they were working the day shift, they got their cognitive score, and then they did the same test when they're working the nights, and at nighttime their cognitive function declined by 20%. And so they gave these workers C-Max, and they found that with the C-Max their cognitive performance was just as good as it was when they were on the day shift. So it's a great way that you can recalibrate your brain. So you would cycle Dihexa with C-Max or Nupep. Nupep is also a peptide that falls in the racetam family. It's called umbriracetam, and what that one does is it helps activate both lobes of the brain. So it helps with integration of your right hemisphere with your left hemisphere, so that you get better cognition. And then in the evenings, Selenk is one of my favorites. I call this the Kanye West peptide, because Kanye West, yes, I'm a big fan and it's kind of weird, but he is a brilliant artist. And yes, he says some weird things, very controversial. Don't align me with all of his opinions, but I said in 2016 when he had a nervous breakdown, he just produced which I think is one of the best rap albums ever, which is The Life of Pablo. And I'm a big Pablo Picasso fan, because Pablo Picasso, his whole goal in life was just to become younger. He's like, every day I want to become a kid again. But Kanye West, when he had his nervous breakdown, if he used Selenk, it's a natural benzodiazepine, so it's anxiolytic, so it calms down the brain. So Dihexa is a super horse. So it's a power charger. It's going to keep you focused, keep BDNF going. If you add it with your exercise, what the studies show is that you'll actually perform better in your exercise because you'll be more cognitively focused. If you look at some of David Goggins' work, you'll realize like you have two voices in your head, and one voice is always telling you can't, the other voice tells you can. Well, the beautiful thing that Dihexa does is it tells you that you can. And then if you have any risk of Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, MS, Dihexa does seem to be very neuroprotective. And the benefit of using Dihexa over something like nicotine is it doesn't seem to possess the same addictive properties. Here's the warning with Dihexa, is you do need to stay hydrated. The problem with most people in their cognitive function is things don't work very well if you're not hydrated. So peptides, these natural agents that exist in your body, they need the electrical conductivity to turn on those neural networks. And so by staying hydrated, keeping the mineral balance appropriate in your body, you'll notice that it works 10 times better. And so Dihexa, the second warning is don't go and buy it online. You need it under a doctor's order. So get it from pharmacy that follows all of the FDA guidelines. It's a registered, certified, licensed pharmacy. That's where we get ours, and we're happy to help you find some. So if you are interested in Dihexa, you can go to agelessfuture.com. We'll help you get the right test to see if that would be something that would be the best benefit for you and your future health.